Riley and I are going to try something different here. We're going to do a duplet. I'm going to do a big honeycomb cut, or as big as I can get out of here. I've taken a piece of yellow quartz and I've glued some smoky quartz on the bottom. So the theory is the yellow is going to come through a little bit and going to mix with the smoky color, and we should have an interesting stone. Right, Riley? She thinks it's going to work. Got a lot of grinding to do. Since I don't have a trim saw right now, I have to grind it all down. Take this whole corner, this south side off basically, because there's a flaw there. And a cut right there too, crack anyway. Rough it out, and then we'll glue it up and start the process. But we've got a lot of grinding to do in the meantime. So we're going to get back to it. We're about to get started here. This is going to be the honeycomb cut. Once again, that's the one. Turned out very nice on the sunstone we did a little while ago. Going to try something different. This is going to be a duplex cut. Don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know if anybody's ever done one. I haven't seen it, but we're going to try one. What I did was I put lemon quartz on the bottom, smoky quartz on top. I've got it kind of roughed out here. So the lemon quartz will be our pavilion and the smoky quartz will be our crown. We're going to get started here. Since it is colored quartz, our cutting angle 43 degrees. And the first thing we're going to do is cut our culet facets here. We're going to have 8 culet facets. That's the suggested angle for your pavilion. We have our first 8 facets roughed out, our culet facets. They're at the culet angle, 43 degrees for colored quartz. Cut the 600 grit. I'm going to go on now and start cutting my next set of facets. I think Riley and I finally have got this roughed out down to the girdle. This did start out to be a honeycomb cut. It still will be a honeycomb cut on the top. We're going to use the honeycomb crown. But here I'm cutting a duplex gem, which means I glued yellow quartz on the bottom and smoky quartz on the top. And I want them to transition from yellow to smoky right there at the girdle. So I had to recut the pavilion a couple of times to get it down far enough so that my girdle would come out right there and the stone to be the right size that it could match up all around. It took about 3 recuts to get it down there. But we got it, didn't we, Riley? Yes, we did. We got it. We're sitting pretty good, I think, right now. As you can see, my transition is right there. Right there. But I had to add 2 more rows of facets. I'm going to recut these and I'm going to make this row a little bit bigger and this one a little smaller. I just kept adding, stacking another row onto them for the honeycomb design. It was needed for me to get down, keep the size of the stone. I didn't want to lose that. And have it transition exactly at the girdle line. And I think we've accomplished it. It should be pretty interesting when we get done. Well, now I'm going to go back and smooth out these facets. This is 600 grit right here. I'm going to smooth them down and pre-polish and polish. And then polish the girdle. Hair on there. And then we'll glue it up and flip it over and start the crown. We're working on polishing the pavilion facets here. I've got the first set of 8 done, culet facets, and I'm moving on to the second set. And once again, I am using a Spectra Ultralap. That seems to do a really good job on quartz, so let's just stick with it for this one. We have all the facets on the pavilion polished now. But since I added 2 more rows here, I changed the size of the stone slightly, so I have to go back and recut the girdle to match up to my break facets on the pavilion. So that's what we're going to do next. Going to go to 90 degrees and recut the girdle a little bit smaller and polish it out. And then we will be ready to glue the stone up for transfer. The pavilion is finished. I'm ready to put it on the transfer jig here and glue it up so we can flip it over and start the crown. Had to choose a pretty good size cone dop to put it in because it's a big stone, and I had to use my older transfer jig here since I had more room in it. So that's what we're going to do. Going to mix up some epoxy and glue it up and let it sit. We have the stone off the transfer jig. We're starting to cut the mains down on the crown. We've got 16 main facets to cut here at the suggested crown angle, and since we have smoky quartz, that would be 42. So we'll cut those first before we go on. Riley, are you ready to get going on that? I think she's ready. Yep, she's got that look in her eye. She's ready. Okay, let's get to it. Here we have our first set of main facets roughed out to 600. When we get all done cutting the crown here, then we'll go back and cut some break facets here to even the girdle out. But right now we're going to move on to the next set of main facets. They're going to be cut at another 7 degrees less than these. Most of the facets on the crown are cut to 600 now. We've got the first row of mains, we've got the second row of mains, and then we've got the star facets. So those are all cut. We still have some break facets to do right along the girdle here to straighten that line out a little bit. Those are very small. So I'm going to go back right now and smooth down these 3 sets of facets, polish them, and then I'll go back and do the star facets. I'm sorry, not the star facets, the break facets on the girdle. And then I'll be ready for the crown. Well, here is the lemon and smoky quartz doublet, I should say. It is 16.5 millimeters across, 25.87 carats, What it is lemon quartz on the bottom, smoky quartz on top. I glued them together and the transition is right there at the girdles. Lemon quartz really comes through and brings that color right up in through the crown. Smoky quartz couldn't stop it.